All right, in this next video, we're gonna go into detail about how do you rent Section 8 properties. This video is actually being made by one of the comments that we're replying to. And if you actually drop a comment on something that is relevant to what we're teaching, I will make a video on it. So hats off to you for putting a comment on. We're gonna get into it right now. Before we get into this next video, make sure that you're aware that we have a contest where you can enter to win up to $20,000. All you got to do is go to the TroyKearnsChannel.com, enter to win, and make sure you text the number below. Section 8, the first thing you need to know before you rent Section 8 is that it's just another person that guarantees the rent. So a Section 8 tenant is someone that qualifies for housing assistance. What does housing assistant means? It could mean that they qualify to have all of their rent paid, or could mean that they're gonna have a portion of their rent paid. Just depends on what state, what city, what agency you're working with, but all of that stuff comes from HUD. HUD stands for the Housing and Urban Development. That comes through FHA. So between those two bureaucracies, you got Section 8 housing. And what Section 8 housing does is it guarantees you, the landlord, that you're gonna get rent paid. But there is a couple things that you're going to have to do in order to get that money. So by watching this video right here, right now, you're gonna learn how do you rent with Section 8 properties, how do you make money during Section 8 properties, how do you keep Section 8 tenants, how do you find good Section 8 tenants, and how you can make a lot of money by renting through Section 8. You may have heard a lot of people who say, oh man, don't do Section 8, blah, 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 it's bad stuff, don't do it. Man, they're wrong. Here is the only difference. When you're looking to rent to a Section 8 tenant, you need to vet them like they are any other tenant. Don't vet them better because they're Section 8, and don't vet them worse because they're Section 8. Vet them as somebody that you would want to rent to, but their income is coming from, or the portion of the income that covers housing is coming from the government, which is Section 8. Now, depending on what part of the country in, what city you live in, those requirements are gonna change. Now, I own many properties in many different counties, in many different states, and many different cities. And some of the Section 8 people take their job way too seriously. And I'm calling out the folks in Kansas City. And they might be really proud, but I don't feel as a landlord that I should have to have a higher standard than somebody who's actually going to appraise the property. And the people out in Kansas City inspect every single light switch, inspect every single plug, inspect everything, the caulking on your floor, every single thing. They take it way too far. And that's some of the nightmares you hear about Section 8. So for Section 8 Kansas City, we really don't do it. Now, Mississippi, they've got a standard protocol that we have to do, and we do it. The biggest thing that you're gonna like about Section 8 is it's guaranteed income, okay? Let's talk about that. So you're renting to just a regular tenant, and they say, hey, I'm Section 8, I'm Section 8. More often than not, you're going to, it works well for me because generally speaking, the rents that are higher in high district school areas and high other areas aren't typically gonna be Section 8 tenants because the rent's more than their voucher covers. So the voucher is what they're gonna get. It doesn't really mean voucher, it just means like, hey, I'm qualified for Section 8. There's no voucher. It used to be, hey, I'm giving you this voucher that go get you money. Now it's different. Now they just drop the money into your bank account. I'm gonna walk you through a typical situation with Section 8. We have a tenant, they're interested in our Section 8 property. We say, or they're interested in our property, we're agreeing to rent it Section 8. They would have to qualify as the tenant, so we're gonna go ahead and make sure that they don't have a number of evictions, they have landlord references. Those things are more important than anything else. And then if they are on Section 8, the only thing we're gonna have to do in addition to that is we're gonna have to pass an inspection with the local authority. Now, some of you guys might say, well, Troy, that seems like a real pain in the butt. You gotta pass an inspection. For me, I totally disagree. I feel like, great, I get a free inspection on my property. They're gonna tell me everything that I need in order to get 12 months of guaranteed income. And if this person is a bad person, the thing that I can hold over their head is that if they don't behave by the rules of Section 8, they can get kicked off and lose their Section 8. Now, we've never kicked anybody off Section 8, but there's certainly people that should have been kicked off Section 8. So it's something that if they lose it, they don't get their housing anymore. So they generally respect that. And if you know that, they're gonna respect it even more. And if you tell them that you know it, they're definitely gonna respect it. But after they go and do that inspection, you might pass, you might fail. They're gonna tell you, hey, you need to do X number of things to correct it. And generally they'll give you a list of things that you need to do. And at that point in time, you can decide, you know what? I'm not even gonna deal with this. And there's been plenty of times where I'm like, I'm not putting a new roof on this place. It's got a perfectly good roof. It doesn't leak. I'm not putting a new roof on it. So that's your decision to make, and that's after the inspection. But a lot of times it's just real simple stuff like, hey, we need you to go take care of these health and safety items. Like you got an exposed, you don't have a GFCI in this one, or this plug doesn't work this way. And they're just real basic stuff that you're gonna have to do on a punch list anyway. And they're generally health and safety items, or they might want you to freaking move some trees in the backyard. You know, just get rid of some stuff, clean some stuff up, stuff that's gonna actually make your property more valuable and more rentable. And the other thing is every 12 months, to guarantee another 12 months, all you gotta do is pass another inspection. And if you've been training your tenants about how to behave in your properties, then more than likely it should pass the first time if they've been keeping it up. And if not, then you gotta go do some repairs. You need to work that out with how you put your lease together so that they can cover repairs as long as it's legal for them to do so. Definitely do not rule out Section 8 when you're looking to invest in real estate, because you will be ruling out a lot of income. I would guess that 70 to 80% of my tenants in Mississippi are on Section 8 housing. They have a Section 8 voucher. And if I was to do cash buyers or cash payers, I would have a huge amount of people that I had to evict because of the moratorium. Because of the moratorium on evictions, none of my tenants have missed payments on rent because it's guaranteed from the government and they're paying it. You know, all these people who don't believe in Section 8, they're crying now because they got no money coming in. They got tenants who are gaming the system. I'm dealing with Section 8 and the money's just rolling in. The government's just paying that money. And these other people, they're sitting at home mad as hell because they can't do nothing because the government has said you cannot foreclose or evict your tenants. On my side, I've got guaranteed rental income, and that's because I'm willing to deal with Section 8. And if you're not willing to deal with Section 8, you might not have guaranteed income. So that is the number one reason to rent in Section 8, is that it's guaranteed income from the government. And if you can't figure it out, then that's your problem. And if you don't want to figure it out, that's your choice. But if you want to make money investing in real estate in Section 8, you definitely need to look further into it. And you need to go visit with your local county and find out, hey, what do you guys require? Like HKAC, I think that's what you call Housing Authority of Kansas City. They require everything. Basically rebuild the house, make it brand new, and then inspect it because that's what they want. And so we've made a business decision that we're just choosing not to deal with them right now until we get our game more together. Or maybe this specific property will use Section 8, but this one, we're never gonna get it to their standards. So sometimes it doesn't make sense, but most times it absolutely does. You'll make guaranteed money. Generally, it's more money than you're gonna get from a cash buyer. Generally, the higher the bedroom count, the more money you're gonna get. So that's definitely something to focus on with Section 8. There's generally a correlation between bedroom count and amount of rent. So the higher the bedroom count, the higher amount of rent. The lower the bedroom count, the higher amount of rent, because they base it on how many people are living in this person's family, how many children do they have, how many people are they supporting, how many bedrooms does that have, and that dictates is how much rent are you giving. So I bought some of the crappiest houses because of the bedrooms they have. Like I remember buying one property in Gulfport, Mississippi on a major street, but it was a 6-bedroom house with 2 bedrooms. And we get like $1,300 a month on that property for Section 8. And I think I paid $23,000. You do the math. It wouldn't take me that long, 2 years at the most, to get my money back from investing in that property. And if I was to rent it out for a cash buyer, I might get $700, $800, $900. I might be losing $500 because I didn't want to deal with a Section 8 tenant. So you might have had a bad experience with Section 8. I certainly have. You might have had a good experience with Section 8. I don't think it's something that you should continue to just do, but it's something that you need to be open to. And if you're doing it yourself, you need to be aware of what kind of knowledge you need to have so that you can pass the inspection the first time, which is very hard to do. If you have a team, you should be able to do it because they should be going through the same list that you're going to have to go through in order to pass, to make that money of guaranteed income for 12 months that can multiply into 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years. I mean, I've got tenants of mine who have been there for 9 years in the same property on Section 8, no interruptions in rent, and all we gotta do is every year, we gotta do a little inspection. Now, what's the difference? Well, I don't miss a month in rent, and I don't have a turn. A turn is when I have to go and clean up that property, fix everything back up to get it ready to rent again. I might lose 2 to 3 months, and with the inspection from Section 8, I don't lose any time, and I got a couple things I gotta take care of. So don't rule out Section 8. Don't rule out subscribing to my channel. Make sure you hit the like button, and make sure you hit the notification so for any new videos coming out, you get notified. And if you want a video like this one made for you, and it's relevant to what we're talking about, make sure you comment below and we'll get to it as we can. Thank you.